Well, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody. Just want to mention real quickly as we get started, if you have a question as we go through, you can just add that to the Q&A or the chat in the Zoom dialog box, and we'll answer those as quickly as we can as we move through here. I'm Mike McCarty, founder and CEO of Safe Hiring Solutions. I also have Lauren Thomas on with me today, and Lauren is on our executive team. She leads all of our strategies and partnerships, as well as overseeing development. So I'll hand it over to her here in a minute to actually give you a demo of the assessment zone. Just to give you a little um, background on safe hiring. I know some of you are clients, some of you are not. We've been around since 2004. We have about 7,000 clients. Our team has a myriad of backgrounds in former law enforcement, K-12 security, Secret Service, Navy SEALs. We have a kind of an umbrella of companies under Safe Hiring, which is Safe Visitor, our visitor management system, Safe Volunteer, Learning Zone, Assessment Zone, which we're talking about today, RefLink, which is an automated reference checking platform. My background is policing. I come out of law enforcement with the Nashville, Tennessee Police Department. I've been doing training, consulting, violence prevention work for about 30 years. And like I said, I started Safe Hiring about 16, almost 17 years ago. What we're going to walk you through today is we spent much of the past year building the assessment zone. And so the idea behind the assessment zone is we've helped school districts and non-schools conduct vulnerability assessments. And these can be very expensive and time consuming. And so what we did is we built a software called Assessment Zone that really does three things. It allows you to conduct vulnerability assessments, and Lauren will walk you through what that looks like. About 2 months ago, we were approached by several school resource officers that are actively involved in the association, both at state levels and with NASRO, and they said, we really need an SRO Activity App. We don't need a incident reporting system. You have those, but we need something to really document what we do every day, especially as we're seeing more and more police officers being removed from schools or discussions to remove them from schools. They're saying, hey, we're sitting here and we don't have a lot of data to show what we do every day. That specially trained police officers in schools are not really a pipeline to prison approach to having an SRO in school. So we built this SRO app, and we've got it out in the field with several officers right now. And so we're going to show you what that looks like. And then there's a threat assessment module. This one is still being finished and will come out a little bit later this summer. We really wanted to get the vulnerability assessment in the SRO app quickly. Some of you are in states that require annual vulnerability assessments. So we want to get those two modules out. They will be out. Everything should be done by the end of this week after all the testing that has been done in the field. They're doing a few modifications to the code, and a full launch will happen the first of the week. The threat assessment module, it's going to have a couple different components. One will be Columbia University, Columbia Lighthouse suicide protocol. They've allowed us to add that into the threat assessment module at no cost. There'll also be some training we can add into our learning zone that will go with that and complement that. You'll also have the ability to create a threat assessment module using a validated tool. Maybe use the Virginia model. There's several validated models. Some school districts use a specific validated tool. Some school districts use a kind of a blended model. That is really, it's a module where you can define and develop whatever tool you want to use, whatever tool you're using to manage your threat assessment and interventions. The software is team driven. This allows you to put it in the hands of your professionals, your school resource officers, your school safety specialist, your IT team. If you're doing a cyber review, it allows them and drives them through the assessment process. And then at the end of that process, we'll make recommendations, as well as we've spent several years kind of validating who are the best of the best in different areas. And so we'll make recommendations if you're looking for a cyber partner or, different partners that we can point you in the right direction so you don't have to kind of walk into this blindly. We know that you're inundated with vendors selling all kinds of products. So we've done a lot of work on vetting those. The software is also built to be co-opted. So in some parts of the country, we have school resource officers in a school district that maybe go to a different school district and are conducting an assessment there, getting a fresh set of eyes, a set of eyes that aren't walking through those doors every day. So this tool is built to be an ongoing process, not a simple one and done. So maybe year one, your team does it internally at your school district. Year two, maybe you co-op with neighboring school districts and allow them to come in and see things from a different perspective. We've also built it so you can include your fire, EMS, could be your local police, as they're responding maybe at the request of a school resource officer. They're not in the school every day. As they come in, they may see things. You may think you have doors marked really well, classrooms marked really well, and they may very quickly coming in say, I had no idea where I was going. So it's built in such a manner that you can have outside third parties come in and conduct parts of the assessment, and only see those parts that they're responsible for. This is just a quick kind of high overview of kind of our 360 security solution we have for schools. Just kind of shows you, I'm happy to share this offline if anybody would like more information. We start with background checks to volunteer and visitor management and reference checks. We have a new tool called Arrest Alert, which is automated real-time alerts if somebody gets arrested. We've integrated with about 93% of the jails across the United States. We have a learning zone, which is an online learning component. You're looking at the assessment zone. We have integrations with crisis management or alert systems. So if you're working with some of the top alert systems and you are using our Safe Visitor or looking at a visitor management, we integrate to those so the data gets shared between them. We have reunification modules. So just a little bit about everything that we have going on right now. So at this point, I'm going to turn my screen off and let Lauren take the screen and run you through and show you the AssessmentZone software.
Good afternoon. I appreciate your time. Hopefully you can all see on your screen the AssessmentZone dashboard. The view that you're looking at right now would be from a client administration view. And what this does is it allows you as a client admin to really take control of your client account. Everything from keeping your client information up to date, being able to work within your buildings, add your buildings, and revise as necessary, as well as building out an assessment that really makes sense for your district and organization. Mike covered the user components and all the flexibility that has, but from the assessment side of it, the system has been built so that you as an organization can determine from the list of questionnaires that you see, which questionnaires are appropriate to be ran at the district level. So meaning that questionnaire would be done one time for your assessment for the whole district, and which questionnaires you would want to have conducted on each building within your district. Once that has been built out, you have full functionality and control of being able to assign each one of those questionnaires to a different user within your organization. As Mike mentioned, the user capability is extremely flexible. It does not have to be a user that is a direct relationship or an employee of the school district. Anyone that you want to be able to walk through and conduct this assessment can be added as a user to the system. Once I get through this, I can show you what a basic user's login looks like. it is going to be a very limited dashboard in which they can only see and access these questionnaires that have been assigned to them. Once all of your questionnaires have been assigned, as I mentioned, the user that it's been assigned to will see it on their task list on their dashboard. This will allow them to simply click on the questionnaire, and the system will start walking them through the series of questions contained within that questionnaire. The questions have been built very conditionally, utilizing AI, specifically based on the response to the first question. If you, for instance, mention that you are not utilizing vehicles as barriers, there is no need to ask another question about how you're using vehicles as barriers because it's inapplicable. The user will be able to simply select yes and no to the response. They have the ability to take extra notes that will date and timestamp it. They also will have the ability to select an image. So if they wanted to take a picture, they have the ability to upload that if you're using this from a PC like I am today. If you are using this from a mobile device, either a cell phone or a tablet, it is going to point to your camera device within that mobile device and allow you to take the picture within the software directly through your device. Once all of your questionnaires have been completed and submitted, a client admin will have one final opportunity to review all of the pieces, make sure it's complete, finalize the assessment, and generate the report. The report is going to populate all of the data that was collected from each one of those questionnaires, and it will combine it all into one very clean report so that you as a district have the ability to quickly review all the data. It will provide you the questions that were asked, what the response was, any notes, as well as the references to the images that correspond to that question in Appendix A. The other key piece of this is at the end of each survey, based on the responses to each question, the system will be able to generate a quick considerations list, meaning anywhere that the response was deemed to be deficient, we will provide a statement so that the district has a nice comprehensive list to review any of the potential considerations or recommendations that they may want to consider to add for their district. The key piece to this is because it is a continued software, with this considerations list, you will be able to, within the system, have a quick reference to year-over-year review of what progress you've made with that considerations list and what still needs to be addressed. That is the simplistic overview of the assessment zone. If you have any questions, like Mike said, feel free to jump into the Q&A section and I'll pull those up before we finalize the webinar for today. The SRO Activity App that Mike spoke to is exactly what it sounds like. It's a mobile application that we have built as a PWA, which is simply an acronym for Progressive Web App. All that means is that from a user perspective, it looks and feels and functions exactly how you would expect a mobile app on your phone to work. It just allows us to keep this as a web URL cloud-based system under that layer of protection within our Azure platform. So all of this data sits behind that level of security that we can provide with that Azure platform. For an officer, once they log in, they will just start to quickly track some key data fields for what type of activity. They will select from a drop-down list of service types. This can be a customizable list for your district. They have the ability to select the building You can either select it from the drop-down menu or start to type to get the building in there as quick as possible. You are able to capture the incident date and time. You can add parties, as well as indicate if that party is a student or not for reporting later. You again have the ability to take notes, and as we showed before, the same ability to grab a picture and either upload if you're working in this on a PC or on the mobile device, access your camera. It also has the ability to require a resulting action. This again can be a customizable list for your district. And then you'll just indicate the approximate amount of time you spent on that and hit save. You also have the ability on the home page of that app to quickly see and filter what have I done in the last 7 days, 14 days, or today only, to be able to go back in, edit, add additional notes as needed. The key component to this is the reporting functionality that overlays all of this. So as an admin, there will be a similar generate report button that you saw just within the assessment zone. What that's going to allow is a quick link for you to submit and quickly filter and query any and all of the data that we have just shown. You're able to filter by time frame, you're able to filter by user, you can filter all of the student activities that were involved. Any of those data fields, you'll have all of the access to for reporting. If there are any questions on any of this, please feel free to throw those into the Q&A. I don't see any. Mike, do you see any?
I do not. I'm not seeing any
Well,
questions. I know
perfect.
one thing, Lauren, can you go back to that first screen on the SRO app?
Yeah.
I know we talked about this earlier with a NASRO member. Could you go through that kind of 3 buckets is going to be the standard release, I think?
Absolutely. Yeah, so actually I just got off the phone with our developers, so this will be a change coming soon. At the recommendation of a lot of our beta testers, they have asked that this initial service type list mirror the NASRO triad model to where it will allow you to start the selection with it being either in the law enforcement lane, the mentoring lane, or the public safety education lane. From there, this subservice list will appear for a more granular reporting for the district.
Perfect. And I know some of the initial feedback we have received from some of the officers that have been using this is they actually are realizing they're doing about 50% more than they thought they were doing, has been about the general theme across a number of school districts. All right. I am not seeing any questions. We thank everybody for joining us today. If you do want more information or you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Lauren, if you want to stop sharing your screen, I may pull up a contact form for those that might need it. Feel free to call or email me directly and I'll get the information to the right team member. Otherwise, thanks for your time today and have a good afternoon.